Here we are at the Maine State House, middle of January 2015, and I'm with my good friend and colleague, Dan McGonigal, Dan Vincent McGonigal III, to be exact. And Dan has been up here for the last 2 days, distributing information, talking to legislators about the dangers of an Article 5 convention, with the purpose of getting a resolution introduced to rescind all of Maine's old calls and hopefully stop any new calls. And there's been a renewed drive for an Article 5 convention under the U.S. Constitution, which our country has never had, by groups on both sides of the spectrum. One of the major groups on the right-wing side is the Convention of States, led by Mark Meckler and Mike Farris. And on the left-wing side, Wolfpack, Cenk Uygur, I'm thinking I'm pronouncing his name right, and in Maine there's a group called We the People Maine. And the left-wing side is they're trying to promote an amendment to do away with corporate personhood, which sounds appealing, but it will impact little corporations of a handful of people, churches, as well as huge multinational corporations. Now, the people on the right, or I would call them more neocon than I would call them liberty-minded people, would be, they have all kinds of proposals: balanced budget amendments, term limit amendments, 50-member Supreme Court to be appointed by each state for one six-year term, and many others that would structurally change, and that's what they advocate, a structural change of the Constitution. Professor Lawrence Lessig, the Harvard professor who's on the left, has actually a number of years ago suggested that we rewrite the Constitution. So many good people on the liberty side have been sort of been convinced that this is our last and only hope we have to restore our republic, and many of these people have just learned that we're a republic recently. Anyway, Dan, can you explain to the folks what you've been doing and the progress you've made in the last couple of days?
What I was doing was, I have two reprints of articles from the New American Magazine, and these are two out of several reprints that the New American Magazine has produced regarding the movement to change the Constitution. And so I started to yesterday distribute to the House of Representatives here in the Maine State House, and there was a very formal process that I needed to do to distribute these single pieces of literature to the State House. And so then I got that ball rolling, and then I switched over and went to the Senate in the meantime, and it was much easier to distribute the literature to the 35 state senators.
And can you show us what you were distributing here?
This is Working Together to Rewrite the Constitution, the Deceptive Left-Right Coalition to Rewrite the Constitution by Means of an Article 5 Convention.
That's right, let me zoom in on it here, okay. That's written by Christian Gomez of the New American Magazine. And that's available, by the way, if you go to thenewamerican.com, you could find that article online.
And the other one, now these were just, some legislators will get one, some legislators will get the other. We didn't describe it. We just had these two go to whoever they go to.
What was the other one that you...
Each legislator gets a single reprint. This is Levin's Risky Proposal, a Constitutional Convention. Mark Levin's new book, The Liberty Amendments, which calls for an Article 5 convention, ignores the risks of harmful changes to the Constitution.
You can show that too. And this also is available. You can get this reprint through the shopjbs.org, or you can also go to the New American website and get it online. And
go ahead.
Well, these are things that we've been doing around the country, and you know, we think that these state houses belong to the people who pay the taxes, and not only should we visit them at the state houses when possible. I know you live in a state where the state capital might be an 8-hour drive, you know, in places like Texas, but in Maine, of course, it's a good-sized state, and in northern Maine, it's a long way to get here. But you can also communicate with your state rep and state senator on this issue by phone, by email. They do have local offices, and visit those offices. And,
I want to mention this insert too.
yes, and we put it, yeah, let's put, what was the insert there they'll get?
It was simply a, to the state legislators in the country regarding Article 5 convention. And it's by the top constitutional scholar in America, Dr. Edwin Vieira Jr. And I have the titles of 2 commentaries he's written.
Oh, let me zoom in on that again. These are links to where they can find more articles.
Newswithviews.com.
Newswithviews.com, Edwin Vieira.
And he's has good sound arguments
against an Article 5, right?
And instead enforce the existing Constitution. So he's on the same page with the New American Magazine and the various writers in here.
And you were pretty well received, as normally.
Yes.
And of course, we've been doing these types of trips for a number of years on different issues, but the last 4 or 5 years, last year we held press conferences in most of the all of the New England state capitals in New York. Seven. And back a year ago, there wasn't as much of an interest, but now it's become controversial, and we're going to be doing some press conferences coming up. And it's no coincidence, folks, that we decided to do this behind this beautiful portrait of the man who presided over the first and only constitutional convention of our country under the Articles of Confederation. And under the Articles of Confederation, they were only supposed to make some amendments, and then you had it unanimous. And we're very glad that men like George Washington were presiding over that, because we got the greatest document to govern mankind. And hopefully we can preserve that great document and then restore it, not to alter it out of existence with a bunch of amendments. So thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
And if you're interested in learning more about this issue, you can go to Stop the Constitutional Convention on Facebook. You can also go to jbs.org/ConCon, or Stop the ConCon.